of failing to protect 3-year-old Paisley Brown faces a judge. And investigators say there could be even more victims in this case. Thank you for joining us. I'm Darlene Jones. Channel 9's Q McRae is live at the Marion County Jail with the latest information on this case. Q, you were in court as 3-year-old Paisley Brown's mother saw a judge for the first time.
Darlene, our day started dark and early over at the Marion County Courthouse where Jennifer Kendrick had her first appearance. Then we rushed over to the Marion County Sheriff's Office where deputies there had an update during a news conference to give us. And now live at noon, we're live in front of the Marion County Jail where both suspects are right now behind bars. We have new information about each one.
So we have a young girl who unfortunately is not here with us no more, due to the hands of the mother's boyfriend. I did a video on this before, but at the time the mom was not arrested. And I asked you guys, should she have been arrested? Because there was reports saying that she chose to get her nails done over her child's life. Well, Fugitive TV, we're going to get into this because now she's in jail. Stay tuned. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel, where we take a look at cases, and we take a look at cases from a different perspective, all right? We take a look at it from my perspective because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I did it for 15 years. I lived in different countries under different names. And now what I do is I take a look at cases of either missing people, unsolved cases, or maybe some cases that might need a little more digging into it that the media is not telling you about. So that's what we do right here, okay? And hopefully while I'm doing this channel, I can help save some lives, you know, whatever else I can help with, all right? Well, I already did a video on this when it first happened. This is a case of Paisley Brown. This is not far from where I live, actually. This is close by. This is right outside of Ocala, Florida, okay? So I'm not too far from there. I'm about 2 hours from there, But, so this right here is very disturbing. So excuse me if YouTube doesn't like you to use certain words. So for example, you might run across YouTube and you hear people saying unalive, but not use the M word, M-U-R-D-E-R. It's because YouTube doesn't like that word. Okay. So if you use that word too much in your videos, YouTube can sometimes flag your video and not push it out to the public. All right. So if you got 100,000 subscribers and you're using the N word, you might only see 500 views in that video because YouTube didn't want to push it out because of that. So you have to be careful and dance around certain topics. Just like when a case involves juveniles and within certain age groups, if they're too young and it's violence, YouTube doesn't like that either. So excuse me if there's some of the stuff with this story, I have to dance around just so I can get this video pushed out. And I know it works because I've gotten up to 21,000 subscribers in the last 9 months. So because I'm following these guidelines correctly, I am growing tremendously. So thank you guys. Like, subscribe, comment down below your state, city, you know, let me know when you started following me, which case it was. All right. But let's get back to Paisley Brown. This is a very sad situation.
Jennifer Kendrick, 629.99.
Jennifer Kendrick, Paisley Brown's mother, had her first appearance before a judge. She was granted a $50,000 bond on each of her 2 child neglect charges, but because she violated felony probation for a prior drug case, she remains behind bars with no bond. Meanwhile, investigators say this case is far from over.
Now, on my video before, I told you what happened, but if you didn't see that last video, let me explain it to you very quickly. All right. So, Paisley, she is 3. All right. So Paisley was 3. But on February 19th, what happened was police was called to a home. It was a trailer, called to a trailer where Paisley was unresponsive, not breathing. Paisley went to the hospital. You know, they tried to conduct services on her. They tried to do what they can do. And unfortunately, she passed. So she's no longer with us. Now, come to find out, it was the mom's boyfriend. So the mom's boyfriend, who was Jerome, okay, The mom's boyfriend is the one responsible. He was watching her at the time. Now, like I said, I talked about this in my old video, so I'm going to give you just a quick background in case you don't know. So Jerome was trying to run, I guess, a Jimmy Rig daycare. So he was watching the mother's kids, who the mother is Jennifer Kendrick. So I can give you her name now because she's arrested. Before I didn't give you her name, I just gave you her initials. But now I can because she's arrested. All right.
Okay.
Double lock these so they don't get any tighter on you.
Yes.
For me being off of a probation, how is this gonna work?
You're gonna get violated. Okay, that's an automatic. I can't control that, all right?
That too if you want. If you want to walk out there with me. Alright, walk with me.
You want me to hold that stuff?
I'm trying to set it on my car when we get out of here.
Which is your car?
This one? Everyone's standing around?
The one right here? Which side you want on?
Put her on this side.
Which side?
This side?
I gave it all.
Do you have anything in your pockets that are in poker stick me?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna pat you down, alright?
You open my place, my baby's to her funeral Sunday.
Is there anything I missed? No? Okay. Have a seat for me? Alright, give me 1 second.
So he was trying to run this daycare or whatever. Now, coming across the story, I do background searches on people. He already had a background, okay? And it wasn't for stealing candy. He had a violent background. He had assault charges. So he already had assault in his history, meaning that he was prone to be violent. So that was there just by doing a simple background search on him. Now, I did a background search on the mom too, and she had a drug history. Matter of fact, she was on probation. All right. I just didn't bring that up in my last video, I don't think, because like I said, at that time, she was not arrested. Well, he already had the violent history and he was trying to run this daycare or whatever he was trying to do, pretty much be a babysitter for kids. So I'm doing background checks on him when this first came out. I go to social media. I'm trying to look at all the social media posts and I come across some people that are saying that, hey, we knew this was going to happen because he did this to my young one. And I didn't see it just once. I saw it 3 or 4 times. Okay. And then I even spoke with somebody who wanted to rename, anonymous. They didn't want me to say their name out. They said he did the same thing with their, one lady said that she dropped her little one off, left, and then something said, to go back. So she went back and picked him up. And noticed after she picked up her little one, bruises. And there's a picture of the little one bruises. I'm not going to show you guys, but so there is a fact, there's proof. So there's more people out there. There's more victims. It's not just Paisley. Paisley, unfortunately, just suffered the worst of the worst. So she's no longer here with us anymore. Well, what made this even worse was the original story was that he bound her. So he tied her. We didn't know how, but tied her up. And the other juveniles that were there at the house said they heard loud slapping, striking noises. Okay. So Paisley became unresponsive. And then he calls the mom. Now, this is the original story. He calls the mom. The mom is out running errands and getting her nails done. So she's sitting at the nail salon getting her nails done. So he calls her. And when he calls her, he's like, hey, Paisley's unresponsive. He says, put her on FaceTime. She goes on FaceTime and she sees. Now, the original story, she was like, all right, call 911. So they hang up the phone. No one calls 911. She tells him to call 911. No one calls 911. Now, we don't know the full details of the original story, but we do know 911 was not called until 40 minutes later. 911 was not called until after, okay, the mom, who was Jennifer Kendrick, showed up home. Pretty much 40 minutes later is when the cops got called. That's all we knew. So at that time, I said, should the mom get arrested too? Because the mom knew, okay? And there was reports of people saying the mom knew this abuse was going on, all right? That she already knew this abuse was going on. This wasn't new to her. So reports were already saying that she was even there sometimes during this abuse. Well, I even said myself she should be getting locked up if she's sitting there getting her nails done and, she get a phone call saying, oh, this is, Paisley's not responsive, and you go on FaceTime and you see her and you decide to sit there to finish getting your nails done. Well, we got the full details. We got the arrest affidavit. We got everything. Now, the arrest affidavit does get into detail. So I can't read everything because, like I told you, how YouTube guidelines are and what's going on. So there's a lot of stuff I can't read. So what I might do is I might do a members only video if you guys want that, to where I have the whole arrest affidavit and I'm reading everything, because there's even other victims, okay, that are making statements in the arrest affidavit. All right. And like I said, it's kind of graphic. So some of these things I can't read to you guys, but I might make a members only video and do that if that's what you guys want. But let's get to the arrest affidavit real quick so you guys can see exactly what's going on. All right, so excuse me, I'm gonna start reading some of this, but some of this I can't say because it's too sensitive, and YouTube doesn't like certain words, especially towards certain ages of individuals. So certain things I might dance around, but I'm still going to try and give you the contents of, what it means. So I'm just letting you know right now. But this says, on February 19, 2026, while assigned to the Major Crimes Robbery Homicide Unit, I was contacted by Sergeant Pender. So this letting you know that, this is when the cops were contacted February 19th. All right. Now it was regarding to an unresponsive, little one. So upon their arrival, they located co-defendant Jerome Combs and then defendant Jennifer Kendrick, who is the mom. Now remember, at the time, the mom wasn't arrested right away. That's what my whole video was the first time. So then I'm going to skip one paragraph and go all the way down to where it says Detective Larson, and it says, I responded to the incident location, made contact with the defendant, Jennifer Kendrick, and a witness who goes by Tabitha. Detectives Larson conducted an audio recorded interview with Tabitha. Witness Harless disclosed that she was traveling to the location with her husband to help the defendant by replacing a part to her well. Witness Harless explained she was approximately 5 minutes away from the location when she received a phone call from the defendant, she stated. And the defendant was saying that Paisley was not breathing. Don't come. Witness Harless explained that to her knowledge, the defendant was running errands while the co-defendant watched, Paisley and the rest of them at the house. So the witness, instead of, going away, she continued to go to the house. So she recalled entering the home, turning into the kitchen, and on the kitchen, she saw where Paisley was laying on the ground. And the defendant was standing over the stove looking at Paisley. The defendant had begun to perform CPR, or defendant had to perform CPR, but they didn't know how. She advised as she began CPR, and she was made aware that emergency services had not been contacted. So they didn't even call emergency services even when the witness arrived. So this is when the witness, Tabitha, she became emotional because she found out that, hey, they didn't even call in for no help or anything. She recalled that Paisley had bruises on her chest. Okay. And she also said that she recalled that Paisley sounded as if she was gargling upon arrival. So She was gargling, meaning she still sounded like so she probably still has some life still left in her. Oh man, this is so sad. So then she went to go check on the other kids. She advised she pleaded to juvenile to tell her what happened. So she went to go check on the other kids. And while doing that, she was asking, what happened. So one of them said he took his fist and basically, was telling her to be quiet and struck her with it. And that was Jerome. So Jerome did that, to her. Then he slammed against the wall, and the co-defendant goes by the nickname of Jay, according to witness. And he's supposed to be one of the adult males residing at the location. Okay. So here is the initial interview with Kendrick. Excuse me. So, remember I said Kendrick was not arrested at first. This is the mom. Okay. So she says that they met on Facebook dating. They met October 25. All right. So these two just met. They met on Facebook dating, have been living together since January 2026. So they literally just met. She just met this man on Facebook and they're living together. The defendant advised the co-defendant is the primary caregiver for all the children because she works full-time at 5-Star Pizza in Citra. And she is busy completing community service hours. According to the defendant, the co-defendant is responsible for baths, meals, and all type of changes with the diapers. So you got to remember, Jennifer is already on probation because of her prior charges. So it sounds like to me, she was using Jerome as in, I got a free babysitter. That's what this sounds like. It sounds like Jerome pretty much got used as, I got a free babysitter. I can go do what I need to go do. And I don't have to worry about getting, having somebody watch these kids. So I can go do my probation. I can go work. I can do my community service. I can go get my nails done. I can go do all this stuff while he stays home with the kids. And then Jerome was probably using her as a place to stay. I'm wondering where he was staying at first. So it sounds like they were probably just both using each other for something. Now, the defendant advised that on the night of February 18, 2026, she worked until closing. She arrived home at 10 p.m. She noticed that Paisley was the only one awake at the time and was in good spirits. On the morning of February 19, 2026, the defendant woke up early and left to run errands. All the children were asleep. She advised she left the house at approximately 9:15 a.m. and her first stop was the post office. Next, she went to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Then it tells you where it's located at. And then she said, next, she went to Happy Nails. She was going to get her nails done and a pedicure. She referred to her cell phone and noted she spoke to the co-defendant at approximately 10:29 a.m. She recalled that during the phone call, she could hear Paisley in the background yelling, "I love you, mommy." So she advised Paisley, sorry, I'm trying to read what this says. She advised Paisley did not sound as though she was in distress. So at that time, at 10:29 a.m., it sounded like everything was fine. The defendant explained they hung up and continued communicating via text while she got her nails done. At 10:49 a.m., she sent the co-defendant a photo of her nails, but he never responded. At 10:58 a.m., she FaceTimed the co-defendant, at which time he informed her that that's when Paisley was not responsive. The defendant advised she responded by asking, "What the F do you mean? Put her on." And let me go to the next page. So what the F do you mean? Put her on the phone. At the time, the co-defendant, who was Jerome, allowed her to see Paisley on video. And she observed that Paisley appeared limp and pale. Paisley's eyes were somewhat but barely open, and the area under her eyes appeared very dark and gray in color. The defendant advised she finished getting her nails done and left the salon. So this woman really finished getting her nails done after seeing what she saw on video. So she literally saw Paisley on video and decided, I need to finish getting my nails done first. Well, so she went back and forth between calling the co-defendant and her mother on the phone, speaking with both of them as she drove from the salon back to the incident location. She stated she questioned the co-defendant about what happened, but he did not respond. She asked him to call 911, but he never did. When she arrived at the house, she observed juvenile Paisley sitting in a high chair. Now, Paisley at that time was limp. She ran over to her and touched her face, and it was cold. So she started to scream, and she screamed that she's gone. Call 911. So then Jerome called 911. The defendant recalled the co-defendant just stood there and said nothing. Okay, so sorry. The baby is gone. So it sounds like then the co-defendant called 911. The defendant recalled that. Okay, so I don't know exactly who. They kind of worded this a little off. So it sounds like maybe she called 911 and then he just stood there looking stupid. That's maybe what happened. The call for service was received at 11:38 a.m., 40 minutes after the defendant learned Paisley was unresponsive. When asked, she could not explain why the co-defendant did not call 911 prior to the arrival, or why she did not call 911 while en route to the house. Prior to my interview with the defendant, I was informed by deputies on the scene that Paisley also had bruising on her chest. I asked the defendant if she noticed any injuries to Paisley. The defendant confirmed that she herself also observed the same stuff on her chest. She stated she asked the co-defendant about this, but he never responded. So basically he's saying that she asked Jerome about everything, but Jerome pretty much sat there like a dumb look on his face and never said nothing. During this interview, the defendant spoke highly of the co-defendant, advising she did not believe the co-defendant was responsible for capable of hurting them. So she was speaking highly of Jerome at that time, saying she did not believe that he would do this, things like that. So then it says, I made contact with one of the witnesses who was one of the underage people that he was watching, okay? Because remember, he was babysitting. I conducted a brief video recorded preliminary interview and asked why I was there. Now, one of the boys said because his sister's no longer here. His sister's unalive. He then stated he did not see what happened. I asked him who he was at the house with, and he advised he was with the person responsible for unaliving the sister. Now, he uses the M word, but like I said, YouTube doesn't like the M word, especially with certain age individuals. I asked him to tell me more about this, and then he said, he started to tear up and disclosed that the co-defendant, his stepdad, punched, Paisley very hard. When asked if that was something he saw, he advised he did not see it. He explained he heard loud banging. So he didn't see it, but he heard loud banging. Okay. So there's a few more pages of this, but I didn't want to read them all because some of these pages were too graphic, especially for YouTube. I might do a members only video. If you guys want a members only video, let me know. I'll do a members only video. And I'll put the other pages up because then I really don't, when I do a members only video, I don't really have to worry about YouTube not, spreading this video or, taking things away. Actually not spreading the video out because it's not going to get spread out anyway, but that's what I'll probably do. Let me know if you guys want that, if you want like the full version of this. But so I skipped to this page right here. And this page right here is an interview with the mom. Okay. Now it says the defendant also admitted to knowledge of one of the juveniles being restrained in handcuffs. She advised that the victim was handcuffed behind his back the day of the incident. The victim, who was Paisley, was handcuffed behind her back the day of the incident, and that she removed the handcuffs when she arrived prior to calling 911. She admitted it was not the victim's. I'm trying to read past these little blank spots that they have to, redact. So she admitted it was not the first time Paisley was handcuffed, recalling he was also handcuffed before 2 days prior. The defendant also disclosed that so this is not actually, this is not Paisley being handcuffed. This is actually one of the other juveniles being handcuffed. So one of the other juveniles was actually handcuffed. She took the handcuffs off of him before the police arrived. That is crazy. So there was another one there that was handcuffed, tied up. The defendant was also confronted on her failure to contact 911 while en route to the incident location, despite already being aware that the juvenile victim was unresponsive. I question whether the motive behind her failing to do so had anything to do with her knowledge of the scene, law enforcement would discover. The defendant denied this, although she later admitted to arriving and removing handcuffs on the juvenile. The defendant admitted that she did not protect her children and disclosed observing the co-defendant beat the juvenile as well as others. I mean, come on. Oh my God, this is sickening. This is actually crazy. Now, here is a text message, okay? Several text messages between Miss Kendrick and Jerome in which they discussed the use of physical punishment towards their children. So this is proof that she knew what was going on. So this is on Tuesday, January 6th at 10:52 p.m. This is Kendrick talking to Jerome. So Kendrick says, Jennifer Kendrick, babe, I know you're raising the kids with me, but I need the popping with shoe calm down some because I can't have the bruises on them. If DCF pop up, if you want to pop on top, they close. So basically she's saying it's okay to pop them on top the clothes because just don't leave any bruises. So pop them on top the clothes, but just don't do, on the skin because she can't have bruises because of DCF. She said with that case open still, she can pop up and I ain't trying to deal with that. I love you, but don't get mad at me, please. I just deal with DCF a lot from my baby daddy with my kids. Now we're going to talk about the baby daddy with the kids, okay? And the reason why this is on, DCF. So then the very next day, a little over 24 hours later, so the first text was Tuesday, January 6th. This is Wednesday, January 7th, 12:15 p.m. No more popping. His whole ear is bruised up. I can't let DCF see that. And she says the S word. Babe, I've dealt with DCF before. I lost my kids before because of my baby daddy. I know how they are. Your energy been whacked since yesterday for no reason. And can't tell me it hasn't because I can tell you a lot. So she's basically saying, hey, his energy's been off. But she told him the night before, no popping. And then the very next day, he does it again. I mean, it's just insane. Now, let's get into the whole history of why she's talking about DCF, okay?
So at this time, you're being arrested for the charge of aggravated child abuse, okay?
Right through here. In the car right over there. Do you need any water or anything like that before we get there? Once we get to the jail, you'll be able to ask them, all right? Yeah, they'll be able to get out of your phone. Right.
So as you see, she definitely knew the condition of Paisley while she was getting her nails done. And as you saw, she finished getting her nails done before she even left. Now, the original story, she said she had to finish getting her nails done because, or I'm sorry, the original story, she said she had to wait to pay. Okay. And I said in my last video, forget paying. No, I'm out of here. Y'all do what y'all want. Press charges for a little $50, $60, whatever. I'm out of here. I gotta go see about my kid. But that's me. You know, that my kid's more important than paying you for these nails right now. I'm sorry. You gotta mail me an invoice later. Well, now it's the truth is she actually waited there to get them done. And even when she showed up, she still didn't call right away. Now, there's a part in the affidavit that I didn't really read too much, but I can tell you guys. So when she said call 911, he hung up the phone. You know what he did? All right, so this is pretty much what he did. So she was tied with painter's tape and rope. You heard me right. She was tied with painter's tape and rope. The reason why he did that is because Paisley kept reaching into her pants to pull out feces. So instead of him trying to parent, you know, the correct way, or whatever you want to call it, he wrapped her up to where she couldn't do it, couldn't move her arms or hands. And out of punishment, while she's bound, you would strike. Then, not only that, after she said call 911, now he did all this before, okay? He also threw her against the wall, threw her on the ground, all while she had painter's tape on her. So he makes a call to her. She says call 911, hang up the phone. Now, he doesn't do that. What he does, he takes her and runs her underwater like Chinese torture while she's still got the rope and tape on her. Oh man, some people don't need to be with us. He's one of them. I'm sorry, he just don't. I don't care about how y'all feel, but he just don't. That's just sad. That's sad. And it's these type of individuals, okay? These type of individuals. See, I might have did what I did wrong. I told you guys I was a fugitive on the run. I didn't do any violence or drugs or anything like that. I started one of the biggest car rings in the state of Colorado. That's what I did. And the car rings, we were taking cars from big major dealerships, and the dealerships are pretty much on it. They were in on it, okay? So that's pretty much what I did. And when I had to serve my little time, whatever it was, there's certain rules or certain code that I would say, how would I put this? That you were supposed to follow. Okay. So if you were doing this life, you were in this underground life, you're a criminal, whatever it is, there's certain codes that I would say maybe the OGs, the original gangsters, whatever you want to call them, would say that you were supposed to live by, meaning children are off limits. No matter what happens, they're off limits. Elderly people are off limits. All right. People with disabilities are off limits. If you a grown man, you shouldn't be taking advantage of a woman. That's off limits too. Because you were looked at as a coward, meaning you want to go rob somebody, you want to go do something to somebody, you want to punch somebody in the face. Don't do it to any of them. Why don't you try doing it to another grown man? Because another grown man might punch you back in the face. So they didn't want that. They were doing cowardly acts. So this man, Jerome, right here, coward. Cowardly acts. Because I bet you he wouldn't try and do this to another grown man. I bet you he wouldn't. But that's just my take on this. My 2 cents. You guys can let me know what you think. Now, I told you I was going to get into why DCF was even involved in the first place. So Jennifer has this history of abuse that's going on in the house before Jerome even got there. Okay. When Jennifer was with her ex, okay, the ex she was with, there was abuse charges going on with in that situation too. All right. Now I'm not going to say his name because he is not involved in this situation. So it would be unfair for me to put somebody else's name that's not responsible for this situation. But I will say, before Jerome even got into the picture, we just read back in January, he just got there. But before he even got in the picture, there was already abuse in the household with her ex. And that's why DCF got involved, because he was charged with abuse. I saw it with my own eyes. All right. Like I said, but I'm not going to put that stuff out there because as of right now, he's not involved with this. All right. Well, that is the reason why DCF got involved. So Jennifer already had this history with abuse going on in the household. So what do you think? Do you think she should be facing the same charges as him? Do you think so? Now that I gave you the history of before Jerome even got there, I said this earlier. They just met. He moved in real quick. She had to work, do her probation. I think they were using each other. She used him. He's a living boyfriend, friend with benefits, and he's watching the kids all day. She gets to go to her probation. She gets to do whatever she's got to do, get her nails done. Okay, get her nails done. She gets to go work at the pizzeria. And he gets to stay at home, watch the kids with a place to live. I'm wondering where he lived before that. So I think they were pretty much using each other to their benefits. But I'm happy to see them both locked up. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm happy to see them both locked up. But I figure I'd give you guys this update. All right. Comment below. Let me know below. Do you think she should get the same charges as him? Also, I told you earlier, let me know too when you start watching me. I'm almost at 25,000 subscribers. You guys are helping me a lot. And for you guys that don't know, my book is in final editing right now, okay? Rare Redemption. That's the name of my book, Rare Redemption. This is about my whole life, okay? From my early memory to when I started getting in trouble, all right? Because I actually grew up as a great kid. I was a good kid, good grades, everything. And then around 20 years old, one mistake ruined everything. One mistake. So this book tells you all that, and also what I did while I was on the run, how I survived, what I did, everything, all right? Up until now. So I'm gonna let you guys know when that's out. What I'm gonna do is I do have a website for the book, but I gotta update it, and then we're gonna put emails. So basically, you can click on the website, and then you go on the website, and you can leave your email. Then I can, hey, this is when the book's done, or pre-order, or whatever it is. All right. So I'll let you guys know. But thank you so much for helping my channel blow up. I'm one of the fastest growing channels in the true crime area, in the spotlight. And I think because I give you guys a different point of view. Thank you so much. Love you guys. You guys, I try to do my best to comment, reply back to everybody. Sorry if I can't get to everybody, but I try my best, all right? Fugitive TV, merch down below. Please help support the channel. Until next time, take care of one another. Watch out for your surroundings, all right? I don't want to have to do a video on one of you guys. Fugitive TV, I'm out.